Let's make some snow globes. After we're done drawing them, we're going to print the background. Isn't that cool? So for this, you're going to need some construction paper, some white drawing paper. It can be round, but it doesn't have to be. A permanent marker and some regular coloring markers, the kind that you use at school. I even had a little bit of white paint to make snow. So let's grab those supplies and get started. First, we can start by drawing our snow globe. I'm going to draw penguins inside my snow globe. So if you want to draw penguins too, start with the letter V and then close the top of the V. And I like to make my penguins happy, so I used a little tiny curved line for one eye and a little curved line for the other eye. I'm making the top of a heart over their eyes, and then I'm going to draw the scarf. So I've skipped down to the scarf, so it kind of looks like a face going meh. And then I'm going to draw another line doing the exact same thing underneath. Those two lines are called parallel before closing them. I am drawing with a permanent marker, and that's really important that you are drawing with a permanent marker too. Now I draw the side of one face down to the scarf and the side of the other down to the scarf. Let's draw the head. I'm making a curved line that goes around, and I'm going to use my permanent marker. That's what I'm drawing with right here to color this part in. Now, if you drew something that you don't like, don't start over, keep going. Now I'm going to draw the bottom of the scarf by drawing a line here and a line there, and then the same thing on the other side, a line here, a line there, and then I'll close the bottom of each of those lines. Now let's make the penguin's body. So starting at the bottom of the scarves, I made like a letter U or a little smile. I'm drawing another curve like a U or a smile, and then that small space, if there is one, I'm going to color that part in. Finished with that, we're almost done with our penguin. Next step, let's add a diagonal line on each side. These could be going any which way you wanted to because maybe your penguin is flapping its wings, and close with a curved line before adding that black color in. There we go. Now, final step is making the cute little penguin feet. Diagonal, diagonal, and a zigzag to connect each. So let's make a zigzag for the toes. There we go. And there we go. Penguin is complete. Now you can fill your whole paper with penguins if you want to. Here, let's go over those steps again. Little horizontal line, the letter V. Maybe this one's eyes are going to be different. Oh, or not. It could both have their eyes closed. I'm going to draw the top like a heart. Do you remember these steps? Next up, make the mouth. It's actually not the mouth, it's the scarf, but it looks like a silly mouth. Bring the line down on both sides before adding the top of the head with a curve. Ooh. Color, baby, color. Color just the top part in. Once that's complete, we're going to work on the scarf by making a parallel or copycat line underneath. So I'm going to draw a line there. And then I'm going to close the sides of the scarf. Boop, boop. And then let's make the bottom of the scarf. I bet you have some of these steps memorized. And since you probably do, when you're finished with your second penguin, if you made one, then you can remember the steps to make a whole bunch more. I'm just going to color in that skinny little strip right there before adding the flapping penguin arms and then the feet. When you're finished and you add more, think about how you can make them different. Maybe their scarves have a different design or pattern. Maybe their eyes are winking, one eye is open. Maybe they're dancing around. Perhaps one has a bow on its head. So think about how you can make each penguin unique like you and me as you continue filling up your paper. Maybe some of your penguins could be small. Maybe some of your penguins could be tall. I don't know. Where are they going? Could you put a place? Are they walking towards the North Pole? Are they helping the elves make presents? Who knows? Maybe they are going toward an igloo. Could you draw something like that? So start thinking about a story that will go along with your drawing. And that will make it more fun and interesting, not only for you to draw, but for whoever looks at your masterpiece when you're finished. That's called the viewer. What kind of story will they think of when they see your drawing? I'm looking at my drawing idea sheets to get some ideas. I wanted to add something like a tree by drawing a couple of curved lines with a curved line connecting the two. Notice the lines are getting wider at the bottom to create the tree. Some of my things that I'm drawing are getting very close to one another. That's okay. That's called overlapping. So some things might be in front or in the foreground. Some things might be behind or in the background. I'm going to add another penguin here, and I feel like in the middle there should be a teeny tiny little baby penguin. What do you think? Make a baby penguin. All I have to do is draw a little smaller. When you're finished with that, it is going to be a snow globe, so we should probably think about adding some snow. In the winter drawing idea sheet, I show you a couple of different ways to draw snow. You could draw little circles, big circles, that could show snow. You could draw something called an asterisk. An asterisk is an X, so you would draw an X with a T on top of it. That's called an asterisk. If you make your asterisk a little bit bigger, you can add details to it, and that would make it look like a snowflake too. I decided to go a little bit with some big snowflakes and some little to show variety, and I'm adding a little line across the top right there to show that this is made of glass. And now we're ready to print. So I've got my pizza pan. If you don't have a pizza pan, get a sheet of aluminum foil, and using your coloring markers, you're going to trace around your drawing. It's okay if you get a little bit of marker on your paper. And now I'm going to draw some spirals and loop-de-loops with the cool colors. I'm using a lot of purple and a lot of blue. And I'm trying to show that it's maybe windy, so that's why I'm using a lot of loop colors and some spirals. Now what we're about to do is printing. With this kind of printing, it's always a surprise. You never know what you're going to get. Sometimes it can be a surprise that makes you really happy. Sometimes it can be a surprise that makes you maybe a little disappointed. Don't worry about it. The good news is you already are a penguin drawing expert and you can always draw more. So don't be upset if your print doesn't turn out just perfect. Remember, it's a surprise. Now I've got my misty water bottle and I just sprayed a little bit of water on the surface of my pie pan. I turn my drawing over before slowly lowering it, and I'm going to massage paper likey the back of my paper, and I'm using one hand to hold it really still, and I massage the whole thing before I peel it off. Oh my goodness, check it out. Now, I'm kind of happy and kind of sad. There's some parts that I don't know that I like. It's okay. I'm going to show you some tricks you can do to fix it. I've got another drawing here. Let's see how this one prints. I'm just lowering it after spraying it with some water. That one turned out kind of light. Here's what you can do. You can always take a paintbrush of water. With your paintbrush dipped in water, just paint on top of your picture, and that'll help move the color from the markers around a little bit to fill in any of those white spots. And now let's let them dry. The cool thing about creating art is you can experiment when you create. So let's do an experiment. When you're finished with your next drawing, grab some crayons and with some heavy pressure, meaning you're pressing down hard with your crayon, let's color in not your whole drawing, but just the parts that you'd like to be very colorful. So maybe the trees, perhaps the trunk, maybe even parts of the house, but you don't have to color everything. Now, the reason we're adding a little bit of color with crayons before we print is because crayons have something called wax in them. They leave behind a little bit of wax when you color with them. Wax and water, they do not mix. In fact, wax repels or pushes off the color and says, "Get off me." So that way, when we get ready to print with our water and our markers, we're going to see if the wax from the crayon will push some of the water and the color off. That'll make it so we can still see our colorful areas. Now, this trick works if you use pressure. Pressure is when you press down firmly with your crayon and you're coloring nice and hard so the colors are nice and dark and bold. So let's go ahead and fill in this drawing with some pressure to color in the areas that we want to add color to before we go back to printing. So once again, I'm using my pizza pan and I'm outlining my circle and I'm adding spirals of color. This time I decided to go with lighter colors to see if maybe the lighter colors wouldn't be as dark when we printed it. So I'm using a little bit of light blue, making a ton of spirals. I'll add, I think, some pink. Since it's nice and light, we'll see how this one prints. Once you've got the surface colored, I'm going to add a little bit of dark blue. Now let's go ahead and spray it with just a little bit of water before we print. It's called a print because you are pressing your paper down and lifting it up to see the design that the print leaves behind. There's that. Ooh, it looks like a really windy day at the snow globe. I love printing these so much that I couldn't stop making them. I couldn't stop drawing snow globe pictures and then coloring them sometimes with crayons, sometimes not, to see what the results would be. This time I decided just to do the light colors, like light blue and light pink before spraying it with water, pressing it down firmly, making sure to massage the whole thing before lifting it up. Oh, I think this one is my favorite. All right, now that I've got a bunch of prints, some of them, if you didn't color it first, once it's dry, you could still go back and color afterward. That does make your drawing look a lot brighter and helps it to stand out. So you can, if you didn't color it first, you can always color once it's completely dry. Now that our masterpieces are complete, it might be fun to add the frame to them. That way they actually look like a real snow globe. But before we do that, what if we added a little bit of pretend snow? So what I did was I got a different spray bottle. I added some white paint and a little bit of water to dilute or make the paint kind of watery before spraying it on my drawings to make it look like snow. This is pretty silly. You could try it if you want to, but they really look good without it also. It's up to you. These do have to dry completely before we add the base of our snow globe. To make the base, you're going to pick out a piece of construction paper, put your drawing on the construction paper, slide it down to the bottom before you trace the bottom of your circle. Now put dots of glue around your circle before you glue it at the top. Turn your paper over and massage the paper to give the glue grab time. Put your hand at the bottom, spread your fingers out and make 2 little tick lines before drawing diagonals that go to the bottom of the curve and connect. If I'm going too fast, then you can always press the pause button or you can rewind. I decided to do a zigzag design on the base of my snow globe. You can add whatever design you want to. I like to use construction paper crayons because they show up really well. You could use coloring markers. You could use crayons. The choice is yours. Once you've got it all colored in, notice that I like to test out the colors on the edge of my paper because I'm going to be cutting this out. So even though I have those little swatches of color on the sides, it's okay because I'm going to cut out my snow globe. When you cut on the outside of your black line and cut very slowly and very carefully. Don't cut your white paper of your snow globe. You're just trimming off the extra construction paper. You want to make sure you do this step slowly so everything turns out exactly as you hope. I hope you guys had fun printing your snow globes, and I can't wait to see how yours turn out. Toodles!